The views and opinions expressed on The Rick Wyman Show are those of Rick Wyman and his guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views, positions, or policies of the network, its affiliates, sponsors, or employees. All content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. I'm Rick Wyman. Welcome to The Rick Wyman Show. This is episode 3. How did we ever get this far in terms of episodes without being banned by, well, a lot of people, including the CRTC. So my guest, as usual, my one and only, my treasured guest, it is, T-Puck is back, and he's got his comments on what's going on for today's agenda. Don't forget, join T-Puck's blog, puckhead8 at bell.net. This is brought to you by Sorta Local, of course, proud sponsors, and we have a guest coming up momentarily. Big night for the Jays last night. They rose from the dead. Miraculous. Even Vladdy contributed. Big win, so they're still alive. And once again, that series will continue on Thursday evening. Can they tie things up in Seattle? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Interesting weekend for the Sudbury Wolves coming up, a home-and-home against the Sioux Greyhounds, and of course, more on the BSL. Running on fumes, running on empty, but there will be a basketball league involving your Sudbury 5 defending champions this year. But we begin with Captain Sudbury, my special guest, to kick things off. The captain, you're in the house along with T-Puck. Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Rick. Glad to be here.
Okay, let's begin with your comments. You had some comments that you wanted to share with our viewers and our listeners in regards to the proposed Sudbury Arena, the new arena that is going to be built downtown. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm a passionate Sudburian, just like tens of thousands of others that have lived in all their lives in this city. And when it was announced that a new barn, a new Sudbury Arena was to be built, a lot of excitement. One of the frustrations is people wanted to know what the layout's going to be. So, I would come out with, we're going to build the arena here. And everyone wants multi-level parking. We're not parking in the streets. There's no room for that, especially when you're talking of a magnitude arena like that. The city needs to grow up with a convention center. We need a convention center and a reputable hotel attached to all this. It'll attract tourism. The downtown will flourish if this thing was put properly together. But all we heard was there's an arena. The other frustration is how many seats in this arena. It was told approximately 800 more seats. Now, has anybody contacted the Memorial Cup, the Briar, what the requirements of their functions for the arena?
Probably not. Probably.
Yeah, and then the other thing is funding, because our taxes have gone up 11% within the last 2 years, 6.5% this year, 4.5% last year. Our taxes are through the roof. So who's paying for this? And the other thing is that arena. I mean, everyone's thinking, why isn't it around 6,500 to 7,000 seats? We have to think of the future. We're the largest city in Northern Ontario, bringing in billions for the city, for the province, and for Canada. And why, is this arena going to be built that in 5 years where it's going to be able to do an expansion? Because for 800 approximately seats more, that is crazy.
Okay. Captain Sudbury, that's great. I want T-Puck to weigh in on this because T-Puck is itching to have his say as to what's going on based on your comments and a lot more. So T-Puck, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rick. First of all, I appreciate a lot of things that Mr. Superfan had to say, and I'm going to jump on a few of those points.
Please.
Let's start with arena capacity. I definitely agree that the arena needs to be bigger. 1,500 seats is not adequate for the size of city of Sudbury. Just for Superfans' information, to have an IIHF sanctioned event, you have to have a minimum seating capacity of 6,000. Now, when I've discussed this with Dario, which I have from time to time, I mentioned to him, I said, well, you've got a 5,800 seat arena. And then, of course, we heard Well, we're going to put 200 seats somewhere. Well, where somewhere? Are we going to put them on the roof? Are we going to have rooftop access? Are we going to have monster seats 50 feet in the air? What I'm saying is this, these requirements change from time to time. You would hate to build an arena with 6,000 seat capacity only to find out 10 years later that the IIHF has changed their requirements and they now need 7,000. Let's give ourselves a buffer. I think that a 7,000 seat arena is the way to go. I'm also going
Definitely.
I'm also going to jump on a little bit of a different angle, but I'm going to jump on a point that Superfans made, and that is, yes, we need a convention center, and yes, we need hotels, but here's what else we need. What we need, in my opinion, is we need a complete revitalization of the downtown. And unfortunately, an arena by itself is not going to do that. What we need is what they're going to be doing, and in fact, they have done in Edmonton and in Calgary, and now even in Ottawa. And I'm going to get into the Ottawa project in just a moment because I think it's the most relevant for our purposes. But what we need housing development. We need retail business downtown because, as I pointed out to Dario, and I have done that from time to time, that if you put these pieces of infrastructure there, you have to have a critical mass of people to support the infrastructure. So if you're going to put a restaurant downtown or another restaurant or two, you have to have people and you have to have traffic. Otherwise, the restaurant isn't going to make money. It's not going to make enough money on arena event nights to make itself a going concern.
Okay, so the most important aspect that we're missing right now, we need a deal to get everything going here. There is no deal between the team and the city. Both are holding out for the percentage on the concessions. So, Captain Sudbury, no deal, it ain't gonna happen. So something's got to be done. Does it take me to sit in a boardroom with the city and Dario and say, okay, we're not leaving until we get a deal done here? Something has got to happen quickly.
I don't know who's on the committee. And I would like a flavor of, when you have book smarts and street smarts, because this is what's like, this is taking so long. If this was in North Bay, we would have had 3 arenas built already. I love downtown. Great restaurants. They had great stores. A lot of them closed because the safety aspect. And I still feel there's no way the city is going to have this arena built in 2 years. Shovels in the ground 2026. The cost started at 200 million. Then it went to 230. Now, everybody knows in the world of business, and this thing's going to have cost overruns. It's probably going to hit over 300 million. And what? We still have an arena that only let's say 800 or 1,000 people more in for the seats. And then just arena alone with no multi-level parking, apparently. And there's no vision of what it's going to look like. I wouldn't have come out and said, "Oh, we're building the arena right here." Everybody wants to know what's around it. Anything else going down? What about the old barn? What is that going to be? Are they knocking it down, putting something there? Nothing announced. I wouldn't have come out with an announcement until I have my act together.
Captain Sudbury, keep those thoughts in mind. You're coming back on the show. Of course, I don't think you'll have a problem coming back on the show. Some good points. We've got to wrap up. We've got another guest coming up as well on the show. We're just ripping through this half hour. Appreciate your comments, and we will talk to you soon. T-Puck, let's end this quickly in regards to the arena debate, if we can, regarding, some interesting points that the captain brought up. The superfan from Sudbury, he wants to see some changes, but again, nothing happening right now. And the thing is, we are going to have some parking problems for the next couple of years. In regards to that date, I concur. 2026, not going to happen.
Never.
It's not going to happen, Rick, the way we're going. It's very unfortunate. I don't see the commitment from the community that is the city of Greater Sudbury. I would be extremely surprised if the arena opens on time. What I'll simply say really quickly, Rick, is there's a new proposal for an arena in Ottawa to house PWHL Ottawa and the Ottawa 67s. And with that comes a housing development. So I think the key to this whole thing is that you have to build your infrastructure around your arena. I think we've got it totally backwards.
There we go. Okay, we're going to take a break. Captain Sudbury, thank you so much for this. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more of the Rick Wyman Show, Episode 3, brought to you by Sorta Local, coming up. Welcome back to the Rick Wyman Show, Episode 3 with T-Puck. I am Rick Wyman. Don't forget T-Puck's blog, puckhead8@bell.net. This show brought to you by Sorta Local. We're still on the air for 3 episodes, and we will continue because there's never a shortage to talk about in terms of what bugs you, what's on your mind. Hey, let us know your interest, your comments, and we'll see what we can do for you. T-Puck, let's begin. Soccer, big tie game for Canada against Colombia, World Cup coming up. You're the soccer aficionado. I'm the guy who plays soccer pools and never comes up on top. Your thoughts on Canada right now with less than a year to go?
Well, Rick, I'll tell you, it's one of those deals that was a tough window. The Australians played the way the Australians play, and they play very defensively. Canada had a rough night around goal. They had plenty of scoring chances. They couldn't convert, and unfortunately, they made a defensive error. They lost 1-0. They played fairly well. Then they played Colombia. Now, Colombia is the number 13th ranked team in the world.
And you like them. You like them.
Excellent, excellent team. This is a team I think that could be at least a quarterfinalist at the World Cup coming up. This is a great team. And Canada played very well. Played well defensively, well organized. They had a couple of scoring chances. They had a goal that was called back because Jacob Schapelberg's foot was about 5 centimeters offside. And that was unfortunate. That would have been a beautiful goal by Jonathan David. It wasn't to be. Colombia had some late chances. They couldn't put the ball in the net. But overall, I would say that Canada still had a pretty decent window. Quality opponents. You played Colombia in a neutral site game in the United States. So I think Canada's in pretty good position going into the next window in November. And of course, what I'm looking forward to, Rick, is the World Cup draw, which will be in early December. And I can't wait to cover that with you. That'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, we'll be keeping a close eye on that. By the way, Sudbury Cyclones, big news this week. The goalkeeper for Sudbury managed to get the Keeper of the Year award. Couple of clean sheets and certainly well-deserving. He kept his team in contention over the course of the year. So again, next year, Premier Division. Quick question on the Cyclones going to the next leg. This is going to be a lot tougher than what we experienced last year and this year. Of course, we saw a lot of the games. That Premier Division's pretty tough.
Yes, the Premier Division is very tough because a lot of the players in this league are the kind of players that will be attracting professional interest. And the main professional interest, of course, is the CPL, the Canadian Premier League. So these players are the ones that are going to be breaking through at some point. And I think you need to keep in mind, Rick, that League One Ontario is an excellent feeder league. There are a number of players on the national team, such as Alistair Johnston, who played in League One Ontario. On the women's side, Olivia Smith played for the North Toronto Nitros in the women's League One. And of course, she got £1 million and she's now playing in the British Women's League, a very superb player.
Okay, so what's £1 million in English? in Canadian currency? Okay, £1 million because I still never get that whole, British currency. Okay, Basketball Super League, it's our understanding, and we talked about this last night, it's going to be a 6-team league. No London. Received an interesting article from the London Free Press the other day. London Lightning quit the Basketball Super League because they did not like the inference David Magley's TBL, bringing in these American opponents to play in the Basketball Super League. Most of the teams were garbage. Might have been one or two good teams like Jamestown that actually put up a half-decent fight, but there will be a Basketball Super League, and it's my understanding, that there might be a TBL team, Jamestown, a combination of Jamestown, Erie, replacing Newfoundland?
I think what's going on with that franchise is I think that Jamestown may be eventually relocating to Erie, Pennsylvania. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to start the year as Jamestown. That's what I've heard. And I guess over time they're going to relocate to Erie, which I find a little bit strange. But in the Basketball Super League, Rick, as we all know, you learn to understand this.
The WHA had more credibility, so I'm kind of wondering, so what's this about Dario Zulich taking over as the league commissioner?
Well, I think Dario is going to be basically the one who's in charge of the financial aspects. And compared to David Magley, to be truthful, I think that's a big step up for the league, simply because, as far as I'm concerned, David Magley had no business acumen whatsoever. Dario Zulich is in a totally different company, and I think in that regard, it's probably a good move. But I think what needs to happen here is that the league needs to rebuild itself and rebrand itself. I am a proponent of having Canadian teams. Not that I don't like American teams, but I think there's plenty of markets where basketball would be well received.
Okay, so why not the CBL?
What's that?
Why not the Canadian Professional Basketball League, that which runs all summer? I know people here don't want to go to a rink in the summertime to watch basketball, but because of the passion, because of Dario's love of the game, there's so much going on in Sudbury. This is a bona fide franchise here. Is there a league that is suitable for a Sudbury-based team to play in?
Well, I'll tell you, that's an interesting question. And my personal view is I'll be more than happy to go to any basketball game at any time. So if someone came to me and said, would you like to be part of the Canadian Elite Basketball League, the CEBL, and we'll run a summer schedule, I would say, sign me up for season tickets immediately. I think the difficulty is here in Sudbury is that people don't want to come indoors during the summer. I can appreciate that because our summer is short, but let's face it, anywhere in Canada, you've got the same problem. My own view is this. I'm going to say that if for some reason the whatever we're going to call this league now, and I'm not sure what we're going to call it, or this, I'll say this itineration doesn't work, then I think the next alternative might be a CEBL franchise, and I see no reason why it would not be as well attended as the five.
Okay, Sudbury Wolves this weekend, home and home against Sioux Greyhounds. Brady Martin playing with Nashville, so the Wolves got a break. I mean, Brady Martin, certainly a top 10 choice in the past NHL draft, and kudos to Brady Martin. And, of course, Matthew Schaefer playing as an 18-year-old as well with the Islanders. So the kids are moving on up. That's a big break for the Wolves. Now, maybe Martin after 10 games could be sent back, but if he's performing like he can with Nashville, why not? So the Wolves, breath of life on the weekend, a win in Erie, close loss to Niagara. Have the Wolves turn the corner?
I think we can say, Rick, that there have been signs of life. And I say that in a couple of respects. One, the power play, which was absolutely floundering, has scored a number of goals.
That's polite. Floundering.
Special teams are important, especially for this team. So I can say there's signs of life there. I think the last couple of road games, the team was playing a much more structured, committed defensive style. And I think that the Wolves were playing competitively. So that's what I say as for signs of life. The difficulty that this team has, honestly, is that it doesn't have a great deal of talent. So, they can put in what I would call a decent effort, and a decent effort may not do it for this team, unlike the teams of a couple of years ago where they could put in a decent effort and outscore teams.
Well, have you noticed that the slight turnaround with the Wolves also managed to coincide with the arrival of Walton and Villeneuve coming back and playing because they need that veteran presence? So we'll see what happens. Of course, Friday night at the arena, Saturday they're back in the Sioux. So, Toronto Blue Jays down 2-1. Where did all this power come from? Wednesday night in a big win over Seattle. Do we have a comeback?
I'm optimistic that this series is going to be extended. You look at these two teams and you look at the runs scored, the runs allowed, they're fairly even. If you look at the expected wins of each team, not the actual wins, they both should have won 88 games. Seattle won 90 games, the Blue Jays won 94. And before the series, I was of the view this should be a 7-game series. I think it will be. I think Toronto will pull another game out of Seattle. They'll come home probably 3-2 down. I'd love to see a sweep. Of course, that would be 3-2 up. And then you'd have a chance to eliminate Seattle in Game 6. I think it's going to go to a Game 6. And I do expect it will even go further to a winner-take-all Game 7.
Well, I'm going to lay it on the line for you, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, is that if the Jays bullpen folds, it's done in 5. If it can somehow manage to keep a string of clean innings, I know that's asking for a lot at this stage right now, clean innings, might have a chance and win in 6 or even 7. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. So big weekend, of course, coming up in sports between the Wolves, between the NHL. NHL can't even get into, a lot of things happening. Lane Hudson signing that contract for tax purposes. Heard a great bit earlier this morning on that. So again, some teams with their fortune turning around. But I just want to say thank you to you. Don't forget, he's Puckhead8 at bell.net. This program brought to you by Sorta Local. My name is Rick Wyman, back hopefully for episode 4. Do you think we'll get the call for episode 4 next week?
I think so.
I hope so. We'll see what happens. You have a good week. Thank you for tuning in. As always, don't forget, share, comment, let me know what you think, and let's just shatter the walls of sports talk and even political talk in Greater Sudbury. We still have that noose around our neck with the arena, proposed arena. Will it happen? Will it not happen? I'm sure you've got thoughts on that and a lot more. Rick Wyman, we're back next week at the same time. See you then.